Keven Martinez, the Middleman Podcast. Welcome to the Popko Project Podcast. How are you, man?
I'm doing extremely well, Popko. It's a pleasure to be here. I've heard your name throughout the town many of times, and this probably should have happened sooner, but we're here getting it done now, so I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I've seen your stuff also. It's nice to have another fellow podcaster on the show, and it's a cool community we have here, and I kind of wanted to, sometimes people can think that like, we're enemies, like but that podcasters are like, competing for something. What that is, I don't know. Views, likes, whatever. But I saw you. Yeah, you've been doing it for a while. I just saw you had Marky Denenbaum on, and he's a good friend of mine. And yeah, I reached out and wanted to, kind of chat with you, kind of see who Kevin is, what the Middleman Podcast is, what the goals and ambitions and all that kind of stuff are.
Well, I'm all for it, man. Mark Denenbaum, that was a fantastic episode. He was here for episode 101. We just got back into it. Like, we had a prelude with my team, but it was like very lackadaisical. Mark was considered one of our first interviews getting back into what I would call a season. But, we just we do like a 50 episodes and then we take a little bit of a hiatus and then we come back, but I don't like to mark it as seasons. I just count it by the episodes. But yeah, no, I'm excited to be here. I've only been on one other podcast. I've recorded two other ones, but they never made their way out. One, there was an audio issue, and then the second one, the other individual just didn't keep on going. But as far as that comment goes with the podcast community and people who, if we're competing against each other, I don't feel that amongst any podcasters within the area. Although I will say that there are podcasts who I'm like, okay, he's a little bit arrogant, but I'm here too. Like, we're here too. So there's a little bit of like a chip that comes on the shoulder. But it's all love at the end of the day, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, who would we be without that competitive nature, I think
I
it's like
agree. I agree.
it's inherent, right? It's like, and it's like a man thing too. It's like this, like then we have to like be these alpha males. Like we gotta be the number one, which that's cool. It's a good drive to have. It's cool to want to be, you know, the best at something, but at no one else's dispense. It's like we don't want to be assholes, right?
Agreed. Agreed.
But
Definitely. As long as you're not an asshole to someone, that's
yeah.
the main goal. Just keep it cordial, nice and clean. Let's fight, but let's make it clean.
Well, you made me get a drink. I wasn't gonna have a beer tonight, but you're doing a Corona. I've got I'm not sure if you've ever heard of this brewery. It's called Brewdog. Um, it's a wingman, Brewdog Wingman. It's
I
a
have not.
nine.
I like the can though.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool art. Yeah, it's cool. My lights screwing this up or not, but it's a 9.5 Tropical Storm Imperial IPA. So I might be one and done tonight.
Okay, yeah. No, this is a Corona. We had a long shift. So cheers
Yeah, cheers
to
to you, buddy.
a hard day at work.
Yeah, I was actually off today, so I can't say I worked hard today. I
You're working hard right now.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife and I went to see Justin Timberlake last night.
No shit. How is he?
It was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. So we're recording this. It is June 26th. This probably won't see the light of day till the week of around first week of July. But our wedding anniversary is tomorrow. It'll be 9 years. So we went to New York City. Bucket list item for my wife to see Justin Timberlake. So we saw JT at Madison Square Garden last night in New York City.
Wow. And it's in his prime, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I won't even get into how much one night cost, like, between the tickets, the hotel, dinner prior, drinks at the show, drinks after, parking, all that kind of stuff. But it was not cheap. The tickets themselves were very expensive, but he's an entertainer. He It was just over 2 hours long. Um, just shy of like 30 songs he performed. It was wild.
Wow.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
my
it's
wife.
all worth it, especially if you're celebrating and that's on our bucket list. You
Yeah,
can't put a price on that.
yeah. So we had a wild night out. Nah, I shouldn't say wild, but we had a night out last night. I was gonna take a night off of celebrating, but we'll just keep the train going. We'll keep the train going. Have some beers with my man Kevin, and talk about who you are, man. Like I said, I've seen you on the internet. We've never had the pleasure of meeting in person. So talk to me a little bit about who you are, where you're from, all that kind of good shit.
Well, I am from Mount Pocono, okay, Toby Hanna. I was born in New York. I don't claim that I'm from New York because I grew up in Mount Pocono. I moved up to Toby Hanna within the second grade. Single mother, and I had two other brothers, including myself, and now we have a little sister. But my older brothers and I were much older now. But growing up, we always moved from house to house. We didn't come from a rich family, anything of that nature. But I've always had this like comedic side to myself where I can like speak to people and laugh about certain things. And to me that wasn't like a gift of any sorts, but to like through life I realized that not everyone is built to be an extrovert. I didn't know that, and so basically just like by talking to people, by being a funny character and always getting along with people. I went to Pocono Mountain West. I graduated in 2016. Since then, I went to Northampton Community College. I wanted to go to school for engineering. I wanted to become a civil engineer, but Calc 2 and calculus-based physics is what put a stop to that dream. And at that time, I knew I was really good. I would learn by doing. I'm a doer. Okay. In order for me to learn, I need to do it physically. So I looked into the trades. And looking into trades, I wanted to because I really loved bridges. I was fascinated by bridges. That's what drove me towards the civil engineering side of things. But the options were construction management, electrician, and HVAC. And for some reason, HVAC just called out to me. And so I went with that. And I went and got my degree in HVAC, not a certificate, because at that time, I already had all my prerequisites from taking just like regular classes. And all I needed to do was take one more science class in order for me to get a degree as well as the trade classes. So that's what I ended up doing out of college. But in college, how this all started, this whole podcast fiasco. During college, I was in college during COVID. Um, I did a rant once, okay, and it was about Gary V. Okay, you know Gary V.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right, so I'm not one of those individuals who admires motivational speakers. Like I feel like I'm just internally motivated to do a lot of things by myself just because of my upbringing. I've seen my mom, she worked hard. And that's just been instilled with me, like from a young age, we were cooking, cleaning, we were handling things that most parents wouldn't ask their kids to do. And it wasn't because my mom was asking us to, it was because we needed to, because she worked overnight and like we had to take care of ourselves. Not taking anything away from her.
No.
She did what she had to do. But nonetheless, it created us into the characters that we are now. So yeah, I did a rant about Gary V and motivational speakers, and a video that he did was like, I just don't like his tone when he speaks, but he was like, "Wake up, be grateful you woke up this morning." It was one of those, like things of
Yeah.
that nature, and it just irked me, So I went on Snapchat and I ranted about it. And a buddy of mine said, Kev, you do this often and it's pretty funny. You should make something out of this. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? He's like, you should do this every week. I was like, what would I call it? He's like, you should call it What Will Kmart Shut Down? Okay. So my first name is Kevin, last name is Martinez. My nickname is Kmart. Okay.
I like that. Yeah.
So I got that in football, like 8th grade, and it stuck. And it's a great nickname. It works great. Too bad it's trademarked. But so what Kmart shut down was every Wednesday I would do a 2-minute rant about a topic. And that went on for about like 40 weeks. It went on for quite some time. I still have them on my Snapchat. You know how Snapchat gives you those memories, and every year or so like pops up and I'll see them, and like some of them are cringeworthy because the identity of it was to shut something down. Um, whether it be an inanimate object such as ice, whether it be a character such as Gary V, whether it be a stupid commercial from Bounty, I was trying to shut something down. I was just ranting. I was out loud complaining about something. And then COVID happened. And my roommate at the time, Mario, he wanted to get in on this. He was like, yo, bro, like we should make a podcast out of this. And so I was like, all right, man, let's do this. And so we bought from Rockville Audio. We bought a $300 like setup kit. We had a mixer, some fancy board that we never figured out how to work. It gave us 3 microphones. I still use one of the microphones to this day. The XLRs I still have, but I've upgraded since then. And we did about like, I want to say maybe 6 episodes, and that transitioned into the Shutdown Podcast. Okay. And the Shutdown Podcast was very, it was just comical. It was 2 buddies. We have a few friends come on, and we would just talk shit. It was very like, there was no goal. It was just leisure college students talking shit. That's all it was. And at the end of the show, we would shut something down. I would have a topic to shut down, and he would have a topic to shut down. So we did about 6 episodes, and I was doing a lot of the work. Okay, even if when it came to time, like, hey man, are you ready to go? Are you ready to go? Oh, hold up, I got to do this. I got to do that. And so I felt the pressure just all falling on my shoulders, and so I just let it fizzle out. Never brought it up. Just let it fizzle out. All love to my buddy Mario. He's still one of my best friends to this day. But it's something that I want to do. It wasn't something that he wanted to do. He just hopped on board. It didn't work out. And, so at that time, I had a falling out with some friends. And I said, you know what? I think it's time for a change. So I have been coming to Scranton for 2 years before I moved up here, because of family friends who lived out here. And I would spend a lot of time, when Levels was still a bar, just out here partying with those friends. And, I was like, it's time for me to leave Mount Pocono and move up to Scranton. So I moved to Scranton, maybe like 5 years now. And I was living next to Ale Mary's, the apartment building next door to Ale Mary's. And I had a friend who I was trying to get into the podcast with, trying to make him a co-host. We're going through names, going through ideas of what the show would be. And she has said, you know what, Kev, I think you're better off on your own. She said, because this is something you want to do. And thinking back to what became our shutdown, she was like, I think you should do this by yourself. It's something you want to chase. So why not do it by yourself? And so that's when the whole thing was like, all right, no co-host. It's just you. You want to do this? Go do it. So yeah, the names, we had names that pondered, everything of that nature. And keep in mind, the Shutdown Podcast, I would consider very negative. Very negative.
Sure.
It was fun, but there were times where I had people comment, and defend their case. And, we would try to shut something down, and some people might get offended. So I was like, I don't want to do that anymore, because it's very negative. I want to do something more positive. And I just knew I wanted to build a platform for people to speak. Okay. And then came the name, and then the name kind of tied the whole identity of the Middleman Podcast together. So the way the name comes about, sorry if I'm rambling at any point.
Man, this is exactly, I asked you the question, you're answering it. I love it. Go.
Okay. So as far as like the name really helped out with the identity, but the name doesn't have a spectacular story. Okay. I was walking around in my room and I was listening to music, and there's a song called Hit by Kenny Mason. And it's a rap song. And in a prelude, they're just chatting about like, oh, you made like 3 bands. And it's like, no, I didn't make 3 bands. It's like, oh, so what does that make you? And the guy's like, I'm the middleman. And I was like, the middleman. And I wrote it down. And then I knew that I wanted to build a platform for people to speak. And the way I viewed it, I was like, you know what? The Middleman might work out. The Middleman Podcast might be it. Because the way I view my platform is I am in between from point A, which is my studio, my setup here, you and I having this conversation, face-to-face interaction. I am in between that and the internet hearing your story, whether it be Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Instagram, whatever. I am in the middle. If I don't post that, if I don't let it go, nothing happens to it. It just sits. It sits in a vault. Mm-hmm. And that's how the Middleman Podcast came about, man. That's really what it's really what it's all about. And it's more positive, and it's all about highlighting other people and what they do. And we let go of that negative aspect, although we do sit here and shoot the shit, and sometimes there might be a conversation. Like we had a conversation about little people that I posted last week.
I saw that.
Some people might get offended at that, but that's not the goal here. We're trying. He's a comedian, so we went down that lane, and it was a comical conversation.
Yeah. No, I like that. I mean, that makes sense. Um, it's hard to name something. You know, I mean, my show, like, I was like, I don't know what to name it, and I didn't even want to name it like have my name in the title. But someone was like, "Well, you have to have your name in the name because people know the name,
Mm.
and people, smarter than me." I'll even say it was Josh Balls. Josh was like, "People know who you are. Like, you got to use the last name." And then I was like, "Well, what am I like? What are my goals? What am I doing? Like, I like alliteration too. So I was like I want to like so I came up with the Popko Project. Like, if you're sitting down to accomplish something, what is that? What is that? It's a project.
Hmm.
Whether that's like when I created my own beer to help out the my high school's music program, or when I launched the T-shirt campaign to help out local musicians. It was like I wanted to create this vehicle for good. I wanted this be like this is the project. And it's doing things that help others. If that makes sense, I don't even know.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. I think of there's a producer out here. His name's Steve's PA. He had hosted a music festival in the past, and he called it Project 570. So the term project is like, this is the outline for it, and it's an ongoing project. So I get where you're coming from with the Popco project.
Yeah,
Whether it's who you are as an individual.
yeah,
It's Popco, what you inspire to put together is the project. So it all makes sense, bro. And I
yeah.
think you're doing fantastic.
I hope so. I hope so. This will be episode 193.
193. Sheesh, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's funny too because I should know this stat, but there's like I think 90% of podcasts don't make it past like the 10th episode.
30.
The 30?
I heard it was 30. I heard it
I
was
don't
30.
know.
Yeah. I mean, I think 90% probably for 10. Okay. And I think 70%, let's just say 70% around 30 episodes. Cause I've heard that as well. And it's like it's a good pat on the back for yourself when you do that. And that's the thing. When someone starts a podcast, I'm always like, I wish them luck. I hope you do well. The hardest thing is consistency. And the hardest thing is finding guests. May I ask, when you first started out, was it easy for you to find guests, or was it difficult to, fill the lineup?
Well, it was pretty I think it was pretty easy. I mean, and I also created this whole thing and I'm kind of glad my name's a part of it because I spent so much time. I feel like now we're talking about me and this is about you, but
Have fun,
um
bro.
but like I feel like when I was at the Weekender, like I started at the Weekender in '04 as an intern, and like I was blood, sweat, and tears into that product, like and you know the countless hours and all that put into it was just kind of like taken from me because an outside company came in, bought the properties, and it just lost that community. It lost
Mm.
a lot of its like what it was built on, and so I feel like something that was taken from me to a degree. And then when I had the radio show from 2017 to 2020. It was called Alt Natives on Alt 92.1, and that was like an hour. It was just like an hour long show on Saturdays, but I played 12, 13 songs from local bands, and it was on the radio. And that was really important to me. And it got canceled because the station had changed formats.
Mm.
So again, something that I built and put all this time and energy into was taken from me. And that's those are their decisions. I'm not mad about it, but with this, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna build something for myself, and it's my name. And at the end of the day, if this fails, I can't blame that guy for changing the format, and I can't blame this outside company for buying this product. The only person at the end of the day I have to blame if this ceases to exist or whatever it might be is me. This is mine, and that's why I also wasn't also had my name on it. So that's that.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, in context, like in my scenario, was it was me. This is something I want to do. This is something that I want to chase, and something that I enjoy doing. Talking to people, learning
Yeah.
about their stories. And so my friend Nicole had said, Kev, like, this is something you want to do. Just do it.
Yeah.
And do it on your own. Granted, I do have teammates. I don't do it all alone. Um, I'll go ahead and a little tangent on them real quick.
Yeah.
I
Please.
have an audio engineer. His name is Nezo. He works remotely, and he's out of him and we actually went to high school together, but we weren't friends in high school. As a matter of fact, I didn't like him in high school. I thought he was a weirdo. We talked, he talked about it all the time. I'm like, oh, it's crazy to me that I didn't like you, and I thought you were a strange individual. He still was a little strange, but now I understand him now. I get him now. You know what I mean? Um, so episodes 1 through 14 of the Middleman podcast were recorded here, strictly audio, with the Rockville audio setup still, and I was using Audacity and I was editing those episodes myself. Okay. 15 through 50 were at Sanctuary Studios, which once was down behind Center City Print, Mr. Monk
Yes.
Melville. He was owning that, and him and I had a partnership, and I was doing episodes there. And through that, they had hired Nezo, and I was like, Nezo, I didn't know you did audio engineering. He makes music. And so Nezo came on board on episode like 30 or so, and he had like we had this setup which was like across the table from each other, and it was a wide room, and there was a lot of echo. And he was like, listen, man, let's try something different. Let's put you in a corner and let's do it this way, and let's see if it improves the audio. And so it did. And just knowing who he was and that establishment that him and I had in the past, in high school, because we were in course together, um it made it easy for me to like, and his work, just like for the person I was working prior from Sanctuary to him, like I was like, no, I want him to handle all my audio because he does it a lot better than the other individual. So then episodes 30 through 50, we worked at the Sanctuary studio, and then we took a hiatus, and Sanctuary studio didn't last past my hiatus. So I had told Nezo, I said, listen, man, like, I need an audio engineer and you need to get paid. So let's figure this out. And since then he's been a part of the team. So he is my longest team member of the Middleman podcast, and he is a huge asset. Him and I talk constantly, whether it be about his music, his well-being, my well-being, the podcast. He's always spitting ideas as to how we can make the audio crisp, cleaner, and much neater. So I commend him for that. And even with what we were working with from episode 50 to 100, I didn't change any of the equipment. If anything, I got like a sock over the microphone here. And he has just continued to find different ways to improve the audio. So like, much respect to him, because this is not something that was in his like arsenal, but he's learning and he continues to learn. And so that is my audio engineer, Nezo. Now, we also have a cameraman who comes to every show. His name is Mike, and Mike is a family friend of mine. And I didn't get camera until after episode 50. So 51 is when we started doing video. And I knew that he was going to school for cinematography. Um, so I asked him, I said, listen, man, let's do a little trade-off here. I buy the camera, you get to use it whenever you want. I need you to edit my podcast, things of that nature, right? And so he came on board, and since then the agreements have changed, but him and I are still like working as we should. Things are all taken care of. So he mainly comes to every show, and he's been with me since episode 51 on. Every show he's here, he's with every guest. He's capturing the B-roll, like the featured videos that I release on Fridays, like who's coming up next. He's the guy capturing all that. He's the one splicing it and putting it all together. I just do the overlay.
Mhm.
Um, he also, presses record, and he makes sure everything's recording on the back end of the video. I have the audio. I'm in charge of the audio, and he's snapping photos while we're mid session. He's snapping photos after the session. And he also handles the tea time edits. Okay. Now, my podcast is like a two-part series. Like, we have the Middleman Podcast, which is the interview-based conversation, which usually lasts an hour long. And I'm talking interview, I'm learning about the guests. And then after that, we have Tea Time, which is not brought to you by, but inspired by Arizona Iced Tea. And so tea time is more so where I insert my own my own humor, and you get to hear from me. And the reason I created Tea Time was because YouTube was my newest platform, and I had figured I need a way for people to get to my YouTube. So let's create Tea Time and have it exclusively on YouTube, sort of like a Patreon, but it's free. You know what I
I
mean?
like that. Yeah, it's a good idea.
So since then, the workload was just a lot on Michael. So we added another editor on the team. So now Michael just handles the reels. He's here every episode. And when I say reels, it's just that one reel that it's who's next. He's here every episode, B-roll, things of that nature, and tea time. He edits tea time. So then episode like I want to just say 33. I'm just spinning a number out there. I met this individual. His name is Zachary Santiago, Mr. Z Visions. Okay. He was here in Scranton, but since then he's moved back to Philadelphia. And I knew that he was just really, really good at editing. Him and I have like we had an episode, and then that night, like we became best friends. Like, and that's just like a friendship that I value, and a partnership, because like he is as real as they come. He's the guy in the team that will be like, Kevin, your shit stinks. And you need someone like that,
Yeah.
And so because of that, we get into some arguments here and there, but I understand where he's coming from, and I take everything that he says, into consideration. But Zach is the individual who edits all of my main podcasts. So the 1 hour podcast, I upload all the assets for him. I get the audio sent to him, and I tell him what I want to see, and then the rest, it's freestyle. Do what you think is right, make it look nice, make it look neat, and he does fantastic work. And so that's my team. Shout out to them, and we've been moving and grooving, and I just keep congratulating them, because if it weren't for them, I can't do this. I will not be able to do this, because my whole thing about getting a team was so I can, enjoy my personal life a little
Mhm.
bit, while doing the things that I love, because I had to turn down a lot of invitation to things because I've had to edit a podcast. So outsource it.
I mean, how important was it for you to add video as a component? Because I've had video as just as this since the day I started, but like this isn't ideal, right? Like in this interview style also isn't ideal because by accident you and I are going to talk over one another just because there's a small delay. There's always connection issues. This isn't ideal. So, I mean, why was it important for you to, add? I mean, maybe you're doing face-to-face audio interviews before, but I mean, having this video as a component of this whole process, like, why was that important to you?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. It wasn't important to me. It never has been. But I
Okay.
know it's important. I know it's important to the viewers.
Right.
I know it's important to the viewers. My opinion, my thought process is people are going to watch and people are going to listen to your podcast because you're talking about good stuff. No one cares what you and I look like. We could be the most handsome mofos in the world.
And
No one cares.
we
Yeah,
are.
of course we are. Most definitely. But no one cares.
Right.
If you and I are sitting here talking about the scent of our last fart, no one's going to want to pay attention to that. Okay.
Right.
Like, to me, video was an added thing because I know people wanted to see it. To me, the conversation is what carries the podcast. Because as I just said, if we're talking about something as ridiculous as what I just said, they're going to turn it off. It doesn't
Right.
matter what we look like. It doesn't matter. So I do it because it is quote unquote one of those things that you need as a podcaster.
Right. That was not the answer I was expecting.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I mean, but yeah, you're right. I mean, you have to kind of be everywhere. You have to be able to, have an audio and a visual, and you need these clips for the reels and the YouTube shorts, and like, and it becomes a lot. I don't know how you've managed. I have some help as far as the audio goes from Justin from Ionic Development. Um, because some of the audio, just because it's over the internet, and some of the guys or girls don't always come with a professional microphone like you
Mhm.
did today. So thank you for that. So you might just have to adjust levels here and there just to make it sound the best it can be, all things considered. Um, but I don't exactly know where I was going with that.
You weren't expecting that answer. You weren't
Yeah, well,
expecting.
I mean, but like all this, it was all this, it's all these things like you have to do, and like so you have to kind of have a team, right? Like you have to really kind of rely on people to do all this because it's a lot of work, and that's why I think a lot of people just I want to start a podcast. Like everyone's doing it. This is cool, and they start doing it. It's like wow, this is a lot of work. It's a lot of time, a lot of effort. Um, so yeah, it's like it's just a lot.
I agree, and one of the things that we take pride here at the Middleman is our consistency. Our consistency. I talk to my team all the time. Um, we're doing great. We're consistent. We're posting this many times. We're just on a constant roll every week. And we made it that way. People know that the Middleman is going to drop a podcast every week.
Mhm.
People know that the Middleman is going to post at least probably 2 to 3 reels a week. Why? Because we made it that way. We
Right.
we did it with our consistency. So and it is a lot of work. Like nonetheless, as soon as I get off this call, guess what I got to go do? Make a reel. It's nonstop. It's always going. And as a matter of fact, as much as we try to catch up, get ahead,
Mhm.
um, something always just seems to slow us down, man. And it's like, all right, well, we're punching in at the last minute and we're getting it done. But I always look over our work, and my editors look over their work to make sure everything's nice, crisp, and clean. Although there are a few discrepancies here and there, but all in all, we're just trying to make a good final product, all the way through and through.
Talk about some of your guests that you've had over you said you're at 101 episodes. That's a lot. Um,
Yes.
I mean, is there a certain style of guest that you try and have on? Is it a variety? Like, what does that kind of look like?
It is a variety of guests. But as to it's a variety of guests that have a certain style. What style am I looking for? I'm looking for the style, I'm looking for the people who put in the work, who put in the hours, because at this stage in the game, I feel like, if you don't have the work and you want to come on the show, um, it's just hard to talk to you about the one or two things that you have done. Let to try to fill in the hour. Even if I don't know you, it's still kind of hard at times, because you can have a conversation and feel like you almost got to know them within like 30 minutes, but then the other 30 minutes you have to fill with what they're talented with on my platform, what they're trying to share, what are they trying to show. So I look for people who are from all walks of life, is what I say. More so people who are doing things for themselves, entrepreneurs. We've had a lot of musical guests on the show. It seems like they gravitate towards me, and those are the most that I might say no to, and that's simply because sometimes the professionalism and the approach is like just not what I'm looking for. Like, yo, let me get a show, and I'm like, okay, hold on, bro. Like, and then I go look at their page and I go look at their link tree or whatever the case may be, and they have 2 songs, and I'm like, all right, like, do I at least do performances on top of these 2 songs? Like, is there something else that we can do other than, because if you just make 2 songs and then it's just that, and I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, but no, that's not gonna happen. So musical guests come on the show. As a matter of fact, some of the highlighted guests that we've had. We just had Bill Dixon. I'm looking at his card right now. His shout out Bill Dixon. I don't know
I
if you know
saw
Bill
that.
Dixon.
I saw it on your
Yeah.
page. Yeah.
The magic of Bill Dixon. I've always said that I wanted a magician on the show, and he came and he like tore it up, man. I was like baffled. It was amazing. We've had some highlighted episodes, an exotic snake handler. We've had ghost hunters on the show. We've had videographers, photographers, business owners such as Electric City Axering, Mr. Sam Williams. Those are the people that I'm trying to expand my brand into now, is a lot more business owners. Because I feel like there are a lot of local shops out here. Like shout out Little Wild Refillery. I'm looking to do a show with them as well. Just people downtown in the square, Da Vinci Pizza,
Mhm.
Ty, the owner of Da Vinci Pizza, just people of that circle. I even almost landed a show with the women from Tusk, but I'm not gonna lie, they scared me off. They scared me off.
They
Um,
scared you off.
they're powerful, bro. I'll tell you, man. They're powerful individuals, and they scared me off. And I just felt like I wasn't ready to have that show with them at that time. Now, maybe things are different, but I still need a better setup to accommodate more than one guest because they are a team of three.
Okay.
So but yeah, those are the people I'm looking for. And all in all, people who have put in the work. You have a brand, you have something that you are showcasing. I want to see work behind it because at this stage in the game, I put in the work, and I feel like it's respectful for you to have done it the same, if not more, for us to sit down and have this conversation, because I don't want to have what I would call, quote unquote, a wasted interview.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just an episode where you said you were going to do what you were going to do, and then it just fizzles out. And I get it. Things happen, right? Things happen. Um, and then, you just like keep teasing that you're going to get back to it, and then you just never do. And it's like, well, that's sad to see. But all in all, like at least you're doing well and you're alive, and things of that nature. Just because you came on a show and you didn't follow through what you said you were going to do, I'm not going to think you're a bad person because of that, because I understand life happens. Things happen
Yeah.
where you just can't continue doing what you're doing. But if you have the work and you have the drive, I want to speak to you. I want to speak to you, and um generally I personally have to be interested in it. If I'm not interested in it, I can't do the show because I can't bullshit.
Right.
I don't
It's
want
hard.
bullshit.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to. I mean, have you ever had a guest that just wouldn't really like you're asking all these questions and they're just not, or they'll give you like 2 word answers and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
what do I do with
Uh-huh.
that?
Listen, man, if you were to ask me in the beginning of the show how to get into podcasting, and I were just like, I don't know, I like it. Right then, at that moment, you'd be grueling. You'd be like, in your head, you'd be like, oh,
Yeah,
you'd be like,
trouble.
great, this is how to, yeah, this is how the conversation is gonna go. And yes, I had have individuals like that on the show, and you know, those individuals, I could think of two in particular. They aren't doing what they said what they were gonna do,
Yeah.
so it shows in character. And that was early on in my days, so I appreciate them for keeping me afloat with my consistency train. But you know, they bullshitted me, and it's a little bit hurtful.
Well, that's tough. I can't think of anything specific. It's happened, obviously, but I can't think of a particular one. But it's really, as an interviewer, it takes the wind out of the sails immediately, and it's like, oh, this is not going to go the way I thought it was going to go.
You're sweating, you're looking at the time, you're like,
Yeah,
oh my
like,
gosh,
oh.
I have like 30 more minutes of this.
But I mean, but it also like what a great learning experience for me in those situations, and I'm sure for you as well. It's like you really learn. Like I there's people who've given me answers like, okay, oh, how'd you get into this? And they'll be like, oh, I just did this and that, and it's like, well, listen, okay, that sounds easy, but that's bullshit. Like,
Mhm.
expand on that, right? Just kind of call them out, you know?
You do. You have to call them out. And those are the things as an interviewer, like as an interviewer early on, I would let people just walk all over me. I would take what they would say and like let them run with it. And I remember Monk had told me, he was like, Kev, like, you got to call these people out, man. You just have to. Like,
Yeah.
if they're bullshitting you, don't let them disrespect your platform. You got to be the interviewer, and you have to call them out on their bullshit. And if they take offense to it, then they probably shouldn't have said it in the first place.
Yeah.
Because, our jobs as an interviewer is to dig and get information that is deeper than what we see on the surface.
Do you ever feel like hesitant to ask like hard questions because like so I'm a big internet sleuth. I think I guess I'll call myself. Like I pay attention to a lot. Like I know a lot about people just from being on Facebook, being on social media, things about people that probably like they didn't even think anyone was paying attention to. Like I see all these things. And if you're on the internet, you know when a girl and her boyfriend or fiance or husband, like when they broke up, if they separated or whatever, like you can see all these things. Like is if that ever is a part of the conversation, is it hard for you to kind of like ask those questions? Because I personally like I don't ever want to like air someone's dirty laundry, right? But like those are the questions and those are the answers people want to hear about too.
That's a great question. I feel like there are times where you can ask the tough question, but it needs to be right. It needs to be fitting in the moment. Let's just use an example as music. All right, music. I interview musical artists, and there may be a lyric that just sounds very hurtful, to them, and I'll ask them, and it'll open up a box that internally, like, they weren't ready to speak about. Um, and to me, I think that that is a W, if you would. It's like, okay, it's like now this person and she, whoever is a little bit more vulnerable, and we're going to talk about this matter. And if they're not ready to talk about it, they can always defer to question and be like, listen, I don't feel comfortable talking about that. Then I'll be like, okay, no problem. Um, but I haven't come across any dirty laundry to air out, so to speak, that I've had that experience. But when it comes to musical artists, there has been experiences where I've been like, hey, listen, you said this lyric, and I want to know the deeper meaning behind it. And when it is a deeper meaning, it's a W. It hits home and it hits well, and they get extremely vulnerable. And I've never had someone cry on the show. I've had someone close to crying on the show. I kind of pulled them out of that cry because I made a joke to uplift his spirits. Um, but I think those tough questions are necessary, and we need to ask them. Mark Denenbaum does a great job at asking those questions. Like an absolute, like, he's such a straight shooter, and he does a great job at
Smart
asking
guy
those
too.
questions. Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. So yeah, that's my answer to that. If it needs to be said, if it needs to be heard, I will have it. And usually that's kind of like at the bottom of the conversation in my list. I have preparation notes, and I keep that at the bottom because it's like, this is if all else fails. If all else fails, we're going to dig deep, and this is where we're going to go. But most of the time, I can get the person to open up within those surface level questions, because you just ask a question, you listen to them, you recall what they just said, and you have them dig into it even more. And now you're having a deep, intricate conversation that they didn't even know that they were ready for. Or they value, like, wow, you're a really great interview. No, I just listened. I just
Yeah.
listened. That's all I did. I got off my script and I paid attention to you. That took a while to learn too. That took an extremely long time to learn.
Well, listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would insert myself into their scenarios all the time. And I keep referencing Monk, man, but he's helped me along the way with certain things. But he was like, yo, listen, like 2 years, one mouth, dude. Like, you don't have to relate to everyone, man. You don't have to. Let them speak, and then try to get them to speak more about it. You know, don't relate it back to you, because the minute you relate it back to you, now they don't want to go back to talking about them.
Yeah.
So I've learned that. And it's a tough skill to learn. It really is.
Being consistent, you mentioned, is like very obviously hard and important. Um, as you continue down this journey of podcasting and doing these weekly interviews, who are some people that you might be a bucket list guest?
Well, we finally got our magician, so shout out Bill Dixon. I've always wanted a flat earther. I don't know why. Don't ask why, but I just want to have that conversation. I want to speak with a flat earther. That's been one of my bucket list guests to have on a show. As to someone who is like famous, like, I've never really thought about that. I've never really entertain the thought of having like a famous individual come on the show. If there's someone who I respect as an actor and as a person, it would be Matthew McConaughey. Um, but local legends are important, and like I think about Scranton and I think about people who are local legends, such as Josh Balls, things like that would be a big interview. That would be a big interview for me. But just speaking, I forgot where I was going with that, but um, like a bucket list guess. I can't say I have a bucket list guess, like I'm just really interested in a lot of things, like let's say a Travis Pastrana, like from Nitro Circus, like someone like that would be a bucket list type of guess. Someone who jumps out of planes for a living, like these adrenaline junkie guys, like those people I really want to speak to. A bullfighter, just odd end jobs, like I had the exotic snake handler guy come through, and his name was William Snakespeare, and he had
I like
snakes on
that.
his show. Yeah,
That's funny.
dude, phenomenal guy. And
William
dude, we had
Shakespeare. That's so good.
I was holding a tarantula in the show, like it was crazy.
And that you
There
have
was
to have video for. That would make sense otherwise.
exactly. We had a snake on my arm mid show.
Oh, nice.
Um, the Ghost Hunters was a bucket list that got done, and I actually went on a ghost hunt with them. Shout out the ghouls, girls hunting outer unknown lost spirits.
Okay.
But they also have a guy on the team, so you know.
Whatever.
um, but yeah, I actually went on a ghost hunt with them. I went to the Crescent Sanitarium with them. I experienced some shit. Um, and I love it. I absolutely love it, man. I never thought like I'm like, damn, bro, this is where I'm at. Like, this is what I'm doing. As a matter of fact, like we're putting on a music festival. That is
I saw
that's
that
something. Yeah.
atmosphere, right? Talk about that. Like, I saw you heavy promoting that. I mean, obviously, I'm big into music. I mean, this platform is for musicians and entertainers in general. But like, yeah, talk about that. That seemed quite interesting.
That is on the forefront right now. Long time ago, I have always said I want to host I want to host a festival. The Middleman Podcast presents. That's how I remember seeing it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I like that.
Speaking with Monk and everything. The Middleman Podcast presents. And here it is, like 80, 90 something shows later, we're finally doing it. We're hosting a music festival. I'm not alone. I have 8 other investors, including myself. Um, but we have 570 Exotics from Carbondale, Pennsylvania. Drew Chase. He has an exotic snack shop. If you haven't been, check it out. Snacks from all over the world. Fantastic stuff. We have Steve's PA from Encore Studios. He's a producer who does it. Like, you don't talk about hip hop and rap music out here without hearing Steve's name. Prior to me having an interview with Steez, I kept hearing shout out Steez, shout out Steez, shout out Steez, shout out Steez. And then we finally met episode 99 in the Middleman Podcast. But this is how it came to fruition. A few individuals from Stroudsburg came up to Drew from 570 Exotics and had said, hey, we want to do a music show. We want to do a Stroudsburg and Scranton collab music show. And Drew came to me and said, listen, Kev, I know you had mentioned that you want to do this. So why don't we see if we can make this happen? And I was like, dude, I'm all on board. I know the artist. I've never had to pull so many names out of my hat. I kind of set myself up to be this guy to talk to people. And it's exhausted, dude. It is exhausting. But as things progress, those Stroudsburg individuals who originally came to us with the idea, they dropped out for different reasons. But we filled in those voids with other people who we trusted, and we are putting on a music festival. So some of the names I'm going to shout out: Mike Wilcox from Homestead Beef Jerky, really good beef jerky. You got to try it. He's one of the investors, and he's one of the individuals putting on the show. We have Drew Chase from 570 Exotics. He is 22 and he is absolutely brilliant. Jack of all trades. I can't believe how brilliant he is. Really good with contracts, really good with connects within the city. And he just has a really good head on the shoulders. As I said, Steve's PA is another investor. He's helping us do everything. Shout out Encore Studios. They're helping us with the sounds and everything of that nature. We have an artist, his name is Methodonics. He's going to be closing the show. He's from Dunmore. A lot of people of Dunmore know him. We have Dallas Newsome. He is a new artist, up and coming, and he's also a part of the investors. And then we have two other individuals, Nick and Chris. I hope they're saying the last name right, but it's Maurice. They're just two guys, that got vouched for, and they wanted to help put on the show, and so they're a part of the show, and everyone has their own task. So but Atmosfere Music Festival has been in the planning for 3 months, and we have secured the Ritz Theater
Hmm.
as our venue. I had contacted Josh, and he had given us a price. We did a walkthrough. We told him what we want to do, and this is a hip hop rap music festival. Now, it is not it is not hollering hip hop. Let's just put it that way. Like, it's not like the craziest drill rap that you're gonna hear. Like, we really, as the people putting on the show, we knew that you need a particular taste to really enjoy that music, and excuse me, and we felt like we needed a little bit of like a melodic slash rapish type of vibe. So we have contacted 14 artists, all within Northeast Pennsylvania except for two. One is flying in from Florida, but he is from Stroudsburg. That is CJ Lopez. And another one, his name is Gomi J, who's flying in from Connecticut, and he is from Carbondale originally. But nonetheless, we have artists from Stroudsburg, Allentown, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, and we are putting on a hip hop festival, a hip hop show with 5 food trucks out front. We have D's on Wheels. We have For the Love of Breakfast. We have Poppy's Kitchen, Asania's Kitchen, and who's the last one I'm missing here? Don't Fold. I said For the Love of D's on Wheels, Poppy's Kitchen, Asania. Who's the last one? Oh, Artisan's Fire. Artisan's
Okay.
Fire.
I was gonna try and save you here. I couldn't get there fast enough.
Yeah, Artisan's Fire. And then we have clothing vendors as well who are locking in their sponsorships right now, and they're vending spots to vend their clothing at the show. But that show is going to start. It's July 20th at the Ritz Theater, and it starts at 5 p.m. The doors open, 6 p.m. the show starts, and it goes till midnight. So each artist will have 15 minutes on set, besides the headliner, who will have 45 to close out the show. And
Nice.
that's at the forefront, man.
That's all. I mean, I always respect people who I mean, it's a risk, right? There's an investment involved. There's time outside of monetary things. Like, obviously, at the end of the day, I mean, it could be a wash, right? But like, hopefully, it's not. But like, it's like, we're just doing this because we want to, like. Everyone's like, oh, there's nothing to do here. No, we're gonna give you something to do. Like, come out and support. It's like, it's hard.
It is hard, and the scene out here is heavily populated with rock and things of that nature, which is fine, which is perfect.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of musical artists in this rap and hip hop industry that aren't putting out bad music, that aren't screaming, I'm gonna kill you, kill that, blah blah. They're not doing that. They're speaking from their heart, and they're putting it in the lyrics, and they're making good music. And we feel like that needs to be highlighted. So that's what Atmosfere Music Festival is all about. And this is the first year it's going on, and we are hoping that the show goes so well that the Ritz Theater can't even host us next year. That is the plan.
Yeah.
And we've been pushing promotion heavy. We have physical tickets printed out. We're going to be raffling off items. We have sponsorships who are coming on board who can help us spread the word. We got flyers printed. Shout out Center City Print. They printed us flyers. So yeah, man, it's all coming together. And it's been a stressful 3 months, to be doing the podcast and to be putting on this music festival and to be the communication guy, because that's what I set myself up to be, the speaker, excuse me. But I'm ready to go. I'm excited. And the one day it settled with me. I was outside and I was just taking a walk, and I just like look up at the sky and I said, fuck. That's what I said. I was like, I'm gonna be the first person on stage. As the MC of the event, I have to be the first individual out there. I need to set the tone, I need to have the energy, and I need to be ready to go.
Are you
But
nervous?
of course.
Yeah.
But I honestly, I know who I am, and I know that the minute the first word comes out of my mouth, and the minute I walk on that stage, that's it. Everything's gonna go away. It's like, all right, let's go. We're going. We're live. Like, this is it. This is it. And I've done something smaller, a lot smaller at Analog Culture. I did a First Friday live show for episode 100. We had approximately 50 people in Analog Culture for a live show. I was rotating guests. Someone put it in perfect context. They were like, Kev, do you know Mortal Kombat? Do you know Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Okay. He was like, it's like you're going through the gauntlet right now. He's like, you fight a character and then you're like, all right, next.
Yep.
And then you fight the next character and it's like, all right, next. And then you fight. And I was like, yeah, man, that's how it feels, man. It's just like nonstop rotate, 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 rotate. And then after the podcast, we had 3 featured artists and we had a room full of people. And I was up there and people really enjoyed my energy and they thought I did fantastic. And I was like, we could do this, man. Like, you can do this. You're not an introverted character, like you can speak to people and you have the energy. Like, even on my off days, I get in the booth and that energy is just like, it's like that. It just flips,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm made for this. I'm just made to speak to individuals, man, to be this spokesperson. And that's what I'm hoping. I have this HVAC as a gig, as for real. But podcasting, longevity wise, it can open up much more avenues. I've commentated in a basketball league. I've been asked to commentate in a baseball all-star, although I didn't make it. I was asked to do that. Radio is always an option. But that's what I'm hoping, longevity wise, is that through all this hard work, I will be able to get my platform off the ground. But now I have the skill sets and the things on my resume to say that I have done this before, so that when people look at me and, it's time to be interviewed for a task that will take me away from my day job, I'll be ready to go, because I've done this before. I can do it.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, like, what's the end goal here? Because, like, I mean, there's been so many times myself, and again, I apologize for kind of turning it on me, but I just been so many times where I'm like, I got to figure out, you know, if I do I take this to the next level or do I just stop? Because, like, kind of where I've been is just like, it's fine, but it's like, what's your goal? What's the end game here? And you have a great career. I mean, especially now. It's going into a trade, like, that's what a great time to be in a trade. Because I always say too, like, my parents and my generation, we were told, you know, go to school, get good grades, get into a good college, get good grades, get this high paying job, get the house, the white picket fence, blah blah blah. That's all bullshit. Okay, and that's been massively exposed over the last few years. We're losing people in the trades. I mean, people who are in trades now can basically walk in the door and name their price
Mm-hmm.
because there's not enough of them.
You're damn right.
Dude, it's nuts. Like, I mean, there's so many times where I wish. I mean, I'm not upset with how or where my life has gone, and my parents wanted the best for me. They didn't tell me to go to college because they were like, "Oh, gotcha, ha ha ha." Like, they, it was just that's what they thought was the right thing to do. But, like, so many people, like, they shunned the trades, like, use your brain and not your hands. It's like, so fucking foolish. Like, there's nothing wrong with those types of jobs. Like, I wish that I had gone into the trades because, I mean, there's so much shit I can't do. Like, I don't even know where to start with half the shit. I mean, you ask me about a car, it's like, forget it. Like, I have to fucking pay someone to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like, what I'm getting at is, like, you have a great career in that aspect, and it's like, what is the next step for, what do you?
The big thing that a lot of people ask me is, are you making revenue off of your podcast? And that's the thing that I need to figure out. Like, I'm really good at the social media. I'm really good at putting on the show. I'm really good at doing the show. but my business admin is not as great as it should be. And that's where I lack, nonetheless, I definitely feel like I can sell myself to a business. It's just putting it all in documentation and presenting them a file and telling them what this is and how it's growing. Because credit to myself and my team, every single week we put on a show, every single week, never fails. We gain 1 to 2 subscribers, new followers every single week. So I know I'm trending in the right direction. I know I'm doing something right. And my biggest thing is like, listen, consistency is key. And if you keep up at this pace, one's going to turn into three, three's going to turn into five, five's going to turn into 10. It's just going to keep on going, and the further you get with your followers and your subscriptions, and I want to say this, not botted, not botted,
Yeah.
because there are so many. Oh my God, it irks me so much when someone tries to discredit me and my platform because my shit's not botted. And it's like, dude, like, sure, your buddy's killing it and has like 93,000 subscribers on YouTube, but how many of them are fake accounts?
Right.
Like you can see it. One of the big giveaways if we're an individual on social media, if like they have like 100,000 subscribers and they're still in this area and they still have a day job and they drive a Nissan Altima. Um you go to their followers and you go to like scroll down and go see, and then it says like um this individual doesn't allow you to see all their followers. Well, congratulations, you're botted. More than likely, you're botted. It's not real, and it irks me that way. So I honestly, call me old fashioned. Call me old fashioned if you would, man, because I am taking my time and we are getting the subscribers and the followers a nice, organic, real way. Everyone who's seen the platform touch a platform has seen the platform or touch the platform because they have had an interaction with a real individual who has either been on a show or has spoken to me. So longevity wise, I need to find a way for this to make revenue for myself,
Yeah.
whether it be merch or sponsorships. Sponsorships would probably be the best way to do it. And then just continued growth within the platforms such as YouTube, Spotify, whatever, to start earning monetization, things of that nature. um that is the Middleman Podcast way of trying to make it my full-time job. But as I mentioned, the podcast can open up other avenues. They can open up end jobs. They can open, hey, I'm doing a basketball tournament and I need a commentator for it. Could you do it? I'll pay you 200. Cool. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
Like those are the things that I feel like will help carry me to where I need to go. And if I continue my day job on the side, because I'll be honest, yeah, it's a good career, but it's a hardworking career.
Hmm.
I break my back every day.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm really good at it. I am the top paid employee in my entire staff, and I am the youngest employee in my entire staff. Granted, I get that because of my knowledge and my worth and what I do. But yeah, man, it's hard work. Like I just worked a 12-hour shift today. Like what the
Yeah.
hell? Like that's crazy. Um,
In the heat.
but exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the last one to talk to about, oh, it's hot. I'm the last
Yeah.
one to talk to about that. Like
Yeah.
trust me, I know.
You're
I
crawling
am
around.
aware. I'm aware.
Yeah.
Um, but let me say this. You had mentioned like what if you were to just stop, and the next level, or whether you take it to the next level or if you were to just stop. Um, I when I look back at this, when I'm older, I'm not gonna feel like I wasted a single ounce or a second of my life because I did it. I did what I love to do, and I'll be able to tell the stories and I'll be able to hear my voice even after I'm gone,
Yeah.
you know, on
Well,
on platforms.
yeah. Well, I talk about that a lot. You kind of leave a legacy. Um, my kids will be able to, when I'm gone, they will be able to go on YouTube and hear my voice and see me. And I mean, my dad passed away when I was 22 back in '05. And what I would give to have a voicemail still from him, that would be amazing. Um, So you kind of leave behind this legacy. You leave behind this work of art that transcends time, and I think that's really cool. And again, I mean, anyone can do it. Anyone, literally, the barrier of entry into doing this is like almost nothing. A couple $100, really.
An
It's like,
iPhone. An iPhone,
yeah, yeah,
that's all you
not
need.
even, yeah, exactly. And it's like, but it's like, do you want to put in the time and the effort, and are you dedicated? And is it? I mean, for me, it's convenient, and that's why I think I continue to do this over Zoom because I do it when my kids are in bed. I pride myself on being a very good father and husband. I come home from work, we do, family dinner together. We, whether it's like go for a walk after that or, play a board game or, I read the books at night before bed. And then I do this when they're asleep, you know, and my wife gets a night off from listening to me talk about whatever. So it's good for her too. Like it's good for everybody. Right. And that might be like maybe hold me back to a degree just because like, you know, it's kind of convenient and it's over the internet. It's easy. But yeah, I go back to like, do I take it to the next level? And that's in person. That's, having a studio space. That's, investing in cameras and it's a lot of things. So it's like, but what I'm getting is not a lot of people want to do that.
Yeah, I'm looking to expand my brand here. We've talked about getting different cameras. We've also talked about doing a different setup to make it more leisure and casual. A lot of people love my set. They love the brick. I'm a fan of the brick as well, but
Me too.
as far
Me too.
it's nice, right? As far as like the table goes and things of that nature, like I would like to get rid of it and have lounge chairs and coffee table in between. Utilize the wall to the max of my ability. Nonetheless, I'm working out of my apartment. This is a studio apartment, um, but we get it done. We do what we got to do, and I do talk to these individuals before I have them come here because I don't want no regular I don't want some weirdo coming through. It's usually by word of mouth as to how I hear about this person, and you know, um, we someone will vouch for them and things of that nature. And I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna be okay when we do the show. So things of that
So
nature.
people are coming to your home. That's wild.
It
I
is,
mean,
isn't it?
yeah, do what do I have like right now in my basement. This is where I do it. This is the background of I have a bar in my basement. Like the computer is on the bar top, and I have like a room that is now like my kid's like toy room, but he never comes down here. It's more of a room to alleviate the toy room that's upstairs, and it's like an overflow room.
Hmm.
But and like I could easily have guests. Like I could build a studio in my home. I'm like, do I want random strangers in my house? Knowing where I live? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I get
I
it.
don't
I get
know.
it. By any means necessary. I mean, like I said, it always has to come by with a background check. Just I usually have in-phone conversations before I speak to the individual as
Yeah.
well. I try to create a rapport with people before they have them come on my show. It's not something I am proud about. It's not something that I want to continue doing all the time. Because just like any other individual, yeah, you're right. I don't want people knowing where I live. I don't want people knowing that I use Colgate toothbrush. Like I don't want them to know that shit. But it is what we are working with and we're making it work. So
But in the same sense, like, I mean, that speaks to your like how genuine you are. Like you're inviting people into your home. Like this is an intimate conversation. Like we are literally in the place where I sleep. I'm inviting you into where I sleep.
uh-huh.
Like that's there's something to be said about that too.
I agree. And nonetheless, my apartment is a loft. So it's basically just one room. Welcome to my room, bro. Welcome to my room.
That's cool, man. I like that. I
But we
think
get it done, man.
if I was single, if I was single, I think I would have less hesitation to like, yeah, come in my home. Like my wife's here. Like my children are here. Like I think I would yeah, I don't know.
I
I mean,
don't know. I get it. I get it, bro. I get
yeah.
it. And I understand. I understand how good I have it right now as a 26-year-old individual with just a girlfriend, nothing crazy. Um, but if I were in your shoes, I'd feel the same way,
Yeah.
I'd feel exactly the same way. So I get it, man. And
Not that I don't
that's why we're,
trust people I talk to. It's just I mean, like, I like you. It's just like this is my home.
hmm
I don't
exactly.
want I don't want you to see where the sausage is made. But well, that's cool, man. I mean, what's I mean, this is we're almost into July now, which is wild.
Mhm.
Anything big outside of this music festival? Uh, what's in store for the Middleman podcast the rest of the year?
Well, outside of the music festival, the next big thing that would be coming up after that, I do vlogs here and there. So we're gonna continue doing vlogs. We're gonna have a BTS of the music festival for the vlogs. Um, but something that I want to do again is another live interview, like a live show, because the first one went extremely well, and I had talked to Bazaar Skate Shop about
Oh,
doing episode
Velo?
120. hmm
Yeah.
I have talked about doing episode 125 there at their space for first Friday. So that's something that is on the forefront, something that just needs to get locked in and confirmed. And then, I know that there's a 3v3 basketball tournament over here, the New Faces podcast. They did it last year. Their podcast that started in Scranton moved to Philadelphia, but nonetheless, they have heavy influence within the Scranton area because of the people they grew up here, and they're part of the school system, things of that nature. So they had asked me if I wanted to come by and help promote and help commentate and do interviews and things of that nature. Just being more of a community staple is probably like what is the next big thing for the podcast, is just to continue to grow my name within the community and have people really respect and know the platform well, because I just want to keep expanding my voice and my range of people who I speak to, and people who hear the interviews that we have here on the Middleman Podcast. So just continued steady growth. Merch was at the forefront, but that's really difficult to get going as well. Um, Nonetheless, I'm not more so looking to make money off of that. I'm more so just looking to have people wear the brand so it can be advertisement and support. Because I'm not in it to make a buck off of you for selling a hat.
Yeah.
If anything, I'll make 5 cents. But yeah,
It's
that's
it's
probably the
tough.
most. Yeah, it is. It is most definitely.
I used to work
Most
for
definitely.
a t-shirt company, Axel Rad Screen Printing. Shout out those
hmm
guys. Sponsor mine. It's an investment. I mean, yeah, you could, you know,
Arizona iced tea.
nice. You could buy merch and hopefully just get people to wear stuff. But like it's hard as like, if you're not Joe Rogan or what the hell
Theo
is
Vaughn.
Theo? I was gonna say who's the Rat King? Theo Vaughn. Like those guys have like, they're great podcasters. They're cool humans. They're like, yeah, you want to rep their shit. Like, who wants to?
The bad friends.
Yeah, I just like, it's you know, who- it's hard. Like, oh yeah, wear my product on your back and pay for it. In the process, it's like, but
It is hard.
yeah, I have merch, and I'm thankful that I have some really great friends and great family who've purchased items. I felt bad charging them for it, but they're happy to support. But it's like, you know, how do you expand outside that and get people to buy your shit? I did a new line maybe like 4 months ago where I just had like cool designs and like the name of the podcast, which like kind of like subtle,
Mhm.
which went over pretty well. But and then it's like, well, are people seeing the name? Because it's so subtle. It's like I don't know. It's a tough game. It's just right now for me it's very much a passion project. I love like you. I love talking to people and giving them a platform to talk about what they're doing and why they do it. So
I agree, man. So that's what it's all about, man. Just My big goal is to just continue to become a community staple and get the Middleman name out there and, let people know who I am. And you want to interview, come on the show. And, through that, I'm going to gain traction. Buzz is going to occur. And people are going to want to sponsor the show and they're going to help me achieve my dreams. That's really what it is, man. Like, we are building the platform for the people to speak, but at the same time, we are building a platform for ourselves.
Right.
You probably go out in public and a lot of individuals know you, and your wife's like, everyone. Um, I go out and, people are like, dude, like, you are like, everyone, dude. And it's like, yeah, yeah, I guess. But, do they really know me? Do they really know me? Or do they just see my face? And, nonetheless, it's still great support and, it's well appreciated, but it's just let's just continue to grow the brand, man. And um let people know who you are at the end of the day, because it is important for them. It's important for us to highlight the individuals who we're bringing on our show, but it's also important for people to know who we are as a person. You can see through this, I've heard it many of times. People could tell that I am a genuine individual through my podcast, through my interviews, through the questions I ask. Like, no, he's a good dude. He's a good character. You could tell a lot by listening to a few of our podcasts. About some
Yeah.
people.
With that being said, what's one thing people might not know about you?
One thing people might not know about me. Okay, it's so simple. My name is spelled with two E's.
Well, I knew
My
that.
name is well, you did, yeah. But that's a lot of thing that's a lot that people don't know. Like, I'll have an interview with people and be like, damn, dude, two E's. Okay, let's see, something else, something else. Um,
That is interesting though.
it is.
You
It's one
might
of
be the
those
first
things.
Kevin that I've ever known that has two E's.
I know one other Kevin, and our moms actually became good friends, and he was born before me, and our moms didn't know each other before that, so it was kind of crazy that I know another Kevin who spells it exactly the same way. Um, but yeah, there's that, and let's see, what's another thing that some people might not know about me? That's such a great question. It's one of those things, man.
Okay, that's good enough. I have a. This is I randomly found this box, and it's like a. I don't know if it's like a. It's a great way to be a better interviewer type thing. It's a tool for meaningful conversations and deeper relationships. So there's a bunch of different cards here. This is the first time I've pulled this out in
Sweet.
probably, probably honestly, uh, 3 4 years. We'll learn some quick things about Kevin and I'll let you go because I know you got the edited podcast, and I have to
Correct.
want to post up my Justin Timberlake review, my night in
Love that.
NYC. Yeah, and it's funny because I already recorded it, and I said my wife and I, our anniversary is tomorrow, but we celebrated it a couple days ago, and so like that's got to put it out tonight because I can't do it tomorrow. But uh, what's your favorite family tradition?
Would it be fucked up if I told you that I don't really have a family tradition? I can tell you one of my favorite family foods. Like, I love when we all get together and we eat this food.
Okay, I'll take it.
But I don't really have family traditions. One of my favorite things to do with my family is when my mom makes this. It's our nationality. We're Salvadorians. El Salvador. My mother's from El Salvador, but she makes this food. It's called a pupusa. Have you ever
Okay,
heard of it?
I have. Yeah,
Yeah, good
yeah,
man, good
yeah,
man.
yeah.
No, I love when she makes pupusas, man. When she makes pupusas, all the boys, all of us come to the table, and we all sit down and we tear it up, man. We tear it up because it's just so much fun and it's so good. And she makes it far and few in between, because it's such an intense cuisine to make,
Mhm.
such an intricate piece of food to make. Um,
Tell us what it is though, for people who don't know. This is
so
probably
what
the
a
first time people
pupusa
are hearing this
is,
word.
a pupusa, it's spelled Pupusa.
Yep.
Um, a pupusa is, if you know what a tortilla is, or tortilla, a flour disc. It's basically that with filling. So it's an empanada, so to speak, but in a tortilla form. They could put like cheese and bean paste in there, or beef, or just chicken, um, things of that nature. And it's usually served up with like a tomato sauce and like coleslaw. But it's a Salvadorian dish, and that's what my nationality is known for. So yeah, man, that's just one of those foods, and it's so good. There's one over here in Scranton called La Libertad. Make sure you check it out. And then there's also one in Wilkes-Barre, across the bridge near that McDonald's play place. It's like across that. I don't know what. Um, by the like Geisinger Hospital, I think it is.
Okay, I'm trying to think of where I had that. I can't even think about where I had it.
Maybe on La Libertad. It's actually like on the same strip as Italo's. I think it's Pittston Ave.
I would know. I would know exactly where it was. I should, but I remember seeing the name. Like, I'm like, what? How do you even say this? Yeah.
Yeah, my family and I, we didn't have much traditions. I mean, other than like, just getting together for Christmas, but we
It's weird. It's. I mean, my family didn't have a tradition until it's funny. Like where like I started having kids and my brother had a kid. Like we started doing like a family vacation, and
mm,
that started back in 2018, and it's something we do every year. It's me and my mom and my brothers and my aunt and her kids. We rent a big house, typically in like the Maryland area, and we all just it's on like on in the Bay side of the state, and we just enjoy each other's company for a week.
see, my family, I love my family, but I would consider myself the glue of the family. As in I speak to everyone, and it's not that anyone in the family has like bad blood. It's just my little brother and my older brother don't talk as much. I talk to my older brother and I talk to my little brother, and I talk to my mom, and I always try to keep the peace within the family, and I always try to, get them together to have good times. Like I said, I'm the funny guy within the family. I was a middle child, that was kind of like my
Oh,
job, bro. I
this is
didn't
perfect. Middle child,
Yeah.
middle man.
Yeah, man. I didn't
This is
have to. Well,
perfect.
now we got a little sister, so that's kind of throwing things off. But I just try to keep everyone together and be the light when the family's fighting.
Family's tough. I have two brothers younger than me, and I wish we got along better. I wish we were closer. Now, me and my youngest brother are good. Like, we have I said more in common in that like he's married, has a child, and my middle brother and I just I wouldn't say we don't get along. It's just different people almost. Um,
Hmm.
it's unfortunate. I don't know how it's every day I think about how do I don't want to say repair it 'cause it's not broken. It's just like it's just weird. Um, if you said to me like, "What's one thing you could change about your life?" I would probably say it's my relationship with my brother. Um,
Mm.
I think a lot of that had to do with my dad passing at an early age, and I was fortunate where I say fortunate. I was 22, so I had my dad for all the important things: high school graduation, college graduation, like all first girlfriends, all this other kind of shit. And my brothers didn't have that. Um, my mom got robbed of a husband at an early age. So it's like I wish like I could kind of figure that out. But
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
We we yeah, no, my older brother in a sense was pretty much the father of the family, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I guess that's a good one. Yeah. What people didn't know, we just didn't have a father in a whole family. We just kind of grew up as young men raised by a mom, and my older brother was the family was pretty much the dad, and like we went through a lot of hardship. We moved every 2 years we moved, man. And I remember when my older brother went away for the military, I came home one day and I saw like a water notice on the door, and I knew what was happening, but that was the first time I saw it, and it was different, but we got through it. We managed, and
yeah.
here we are today. And I really definitely think that's what makes me the individual as I am. That I love you, mom, but I can't come back to you. I just can't. Never. I can never go back to my mom's place. I can never go back there because it's just like, where did I fuck up along the way?
Yeah.
You know, to me, it's like I need to go away and keep flying away, but that's still home. But it's just I don't want to go back there because it's just she doesn't need me as a burden. If anything, I should be up trying to uplift her
Yeah.
at this point in my life, because she has lifted me all this way. So
I'm glad you kind of went back to that because it's one thing I wanted to ask you earlier. But we kind of just kept moving and I didn't want to like it didn't make sense. But now that you have like and you said it like that's difficult, right? It's a difficult thing to go through. Not having a dad, growing up faster than you really should or need to. But that plays a big factor into who you are today. Like, and there's a lot of people who are successful. Like, there's you talk to like or you learn about comedians, and a lot of comedians' lives were just dog shit. Moving every like you said a couple years. I didn't have a dad, didn't have a mom, or whatever it may have been. Like I mean, I feel like I'm very uninteresting because I had really a perfect family. I had both parents. Like outside losing my dad at a young age, like I had a great life.
Mm.
I'm not an interesting person. I don't think at all because like I didn't have to go through any kind of shit. Like the hardest thing I had to do
Uh,
is lose my dad at 22. That's the hardest thing in my life that I had to do. Which yeah sucks, but like there's worse things that could happen. Like it's kind of interesting. And it goes back to never judge a book by its cover because you never know what someone's going through. Like life's strange, man. Life's strange, and like you never know what someone has gone through to where they are today. And I think that's like why podcasting is kind of cool. And like what you and I do, and we talk to people, and we kind of give them a platform to talk about why they are who they are today.
it's funny because the individuals in the Atmosfere Music group, they call me Uncle Kev. I'm the oldest out of the group. I'm 26,
Okay.
and they call me Uncle Kev, and I'm like, damn, dude, that's crazy. But yeah, man, it's just like it's one of those things that like, yeah, I had to grow up quick, but I don't think I was robbed of anything. Something else that shocked me. Growing up, I actually didn't know that my stepfather wasn't my biological father till the 5th grade.
Oh,
Because you
wow.
know how you get those school ID cards?
Hmm.
Yeah, it was always Keven Martinez, and then I had like two last names. It was Kevin Alberto. It's like Kevin Monge Martinez. Monji's like my father's biological last name. I met him once before COVID happened. Like the week before COVID got locked down happened. Um, what happened? He wanted a DNA test. My mom was like, "Fucking asshole." So he wanted a DNA test, and we did it. And he's 99% my father. And yeah, man, that was like the first time I met my father. And well, I've met him before, but I just was too young to recall. Um, but as a grown individual, I had met him, and he's like, "Oh, anything you need," and I'm like, "Yo, bro, like you're a fucking stranger. Like, although we have blood, like you're not." Like you're trying to talk to me more than I talk to my mom, and she's been there my entire life. So but yeah, man, that's something that I don't dwell on that at all. Like it is what it is. I am proud of the individual I am, and I do think that there are moments where I'm like, damn, like, yeah, having a dad would have been nice at that moment, but nonetheless, I did have father figures in my life,
Yeah.
whether it was a coach or a person's father. I was able to experience some of those father son experiences through friends, parents, and coaches in life. That had just taught me things that were important to learn at a young age. So, I definitely think that it hasn't held me back in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not worried about it. Not worried about it at all. I think the only thing that would bring me back to my father is when I have kids and if they want to know who their grandpa is. Other than that, sorry, pops, I'm good. I don't need you now. I didn't need you then, and I probably won't need you later. So it is what it is, man. Mom all day.
Well, and it's I can't imagine what that's like, and if you don't want to speak on it further, I understand. But what was that like meeting him at such an older age?
It wasn't anything special. It kind of, unfortunately, my mother and my grandma had put an image in my head prior to meeting him, so that didn't help. But I met him, and like I said, we went to a DNA center in Brooklyn, and we did the mouth swab, and then I told my grandma and my little brother, because my little brother came with me, and I said, "Hey, just sit here, and him and I are gonna go across the street." And so we went across the street and we talked on a bench, and he basically told me what he does, and I basically heard his side of the story of why him and my mom had a falling out, and he's like, "Oh, you're still my only son." And, I carried his picture of you in my wallet. And, he had a bundle of photos. And, I took three. I have three in my apartment now. Um, and yeah, it wasn't anything too special. It was cool. But like I said, what happened is that he had just tried to insert himself too much once he had found out that he was definitely my father. And at that point in my life, I'm like, yo, I didn't come to you to, you don't want to know. I wanted to know. I realized quickly that the reason I wanted to know my dad was because I wanted to know what he looked like. And then once I learned what he looked like, I think that was it. I think that's all I wanted to know, because I didn't care for who he was as an individual. I didn't care for any of that because it was too late already. I was already 20 at that time.
Yeah.
21. I was living with buddies in an apartment, like I was already grown. I had my own car. I was going to college. Like I didn't care to need help from you or anything like that. So it was just a meeting. It was like a meet and greet, man. And he just would text me every day, and I had told him, like, yo, listen, like, back off a little bit. And then, like, that same year, Easter came around, and I said, Happy Easter. Go, like, fuck it, let me see if maybe something comes out of this. He never responded, and that was that. And I don't think about it, man. I really don't. It never phased. It hasn't phased me. It didn't phase me then. It doesn't phase me now. I was more so hurt about my stepfather leaving than anything else. Like, my little brother's father, when he left, I was devastated. That was in the fifth grade, because I could remember experiences with him as father son. He stepped up and he did what he had to do, but he ultimately he had left as well, and that was heartbreaking at that time. And him and I don't talk anymore, and that's fine. He's not my dad. But if I see him, I'll say, "Hey, good to see you. How you doing?" Things of that nature. And
Yeah.
I won't discredit what he did for me within those years of my life. Whether I can't recall how many years, but it was definitely a decent portion for me to believe that he was my father, because I didn't know that he wasn't my dad. And then the way I found out was pretty shitty, but I don't blame my mom for that. And my mom, she's not from this country, so ways that things that they handle, the
Yeah.
way that they handle things are just different, and that's okay.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah, I think, I don't know you well. We've been talking for what, almost an hour? Oh, a little over an hour and a half now. And it's the point goes into, like, how these things just happen. I don't know you from anybody. I mean, we're here for an hour and a half or over that. But from what I gather from you is, like, you're uh you're a good person. And the things that you've gone through, it's easy for someone to, make excuses for, you know, being a shitty person, or just kind of like, rolling over and be like, well, I didn't have a dad, or I was told this was my dad and it wasn't my dad. And, like, it's easy for people to come up with excuses, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
But from what I've gathered from you in this past hour and a half, or almost 2 hours, like, I think you're a good kid.
Thank you.
Um, and it's hard. Growing up in general is hard. And this it's just it doesn't always, you know, happen the way you see on TV and all that kind of shit. And it kind of it sucks that you had to deal with that kind of stuff, but you've persevered and you've kind of come out on the other end a better person for it. So, good for you, and good for you for just being a good person.
Thank you, man. I think I came out great.
You did. I
I,
mean, like, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Other people don't have that same story, but for me, I was able to manage, and with the support of my friends, my family, and just being positive a lot of the times. Don't get it wrong, I cry. I cry.
Sure. I get, dude,
Um,
I get it.
but, we try to remain positive within everything,
Yeah.
because can't remain negative.
I don't know if you're a religious person, and I used to be, and I kind of
I'm on
had
a
a lot of,
balance, right?
yeah. I mean, well, so for me, like I lost three very important people in like a 9 month time frame. I lost my best friend's dad, who was like a second dad to me. Then I lost my like that was September of '04. Then like 2 months later, I lost my grandmother. 3 months after that, or 2 months after that, I lost my other grandmother, and then 5 months after that, I lost my father. So God and I had I was like, how can you do this to me, right? Like,
Mhm.
and I've always been a big person on like everything happens for a reason. I still don't have an answer for that. And then that was it's going to be 20 years next year. But what I've kind of, I don't know if I try to tell myself this to make myself feel better or just kind of like try and, you know, have an answer for those questions. I always say that, maybe God chose me. And again, if you're not religious, that's fine. But maybe he chose you. Maybe he put you through these circumstances because he knew that you could handle it. Like not everyone's gonna do, or not everyone's gonna come out on the other end. You know, the way you and I have. Like, someone loses that many people in that short a time frame. Like maybe they turn to drugs and alcohol, or their life just turns to shit. Where he knew that, hey, you know what? He's got a great support system from the rest of his family, great support system from the friends. He'll be okay. So I'm gonna like this is gonna happen to him because he can make it. Someone else couldn't. And maybe it happens to you because he knew that you would be all right. Instead of doing it to somebody else that maybe wouldn't have chosen to persevere like you have. So
They say God gives his toughest battles to his strongest warriors.
yes.
That's what it is right there. And yeah, it's maybe that's the way it is, or maybe because granted, I find myself saying like it's okay, I'll figure it out. But there are times where I'm just so sick and tired of fucking figuring it out. But
Yeah.
I figure it out,
You have to.
and yeah, you figure it out, and you can pat yourself on the back for a little bit, but then you're going to be figuring it out again very soon. And it's just perseverance, man. So yeah, that's just one of those things, man. You just got to stay strong and be able to turn to someone else when things are not going right. Because I will sit here and I'll be honest, and I'll just be like, I'm fucking sick and tired of figuring it out. And it's like, oh, but you're so good at it. I'm like, so why the fuck do I have to keep doing it? Like,
Yeah.
but um, it is what it is, man. But yeah, I think on that note, man, we should get ready to wrap it up here.
Yeah, man.
Because I do have some work to do, and I do appreciate you having me on your platform.
Yep.
And this conversation has been excellent. Um, any final questions before we get off the air here?
No, man, I think you're a real dude. I'm happy for you. I wish you nothing but the best of luck and success with the Middleman Podcast. And I hope that you and I can meet in real life face to face and we'll hug it out.
Let's make it happen, man. You and I, before the camera went live, we figured out that we're really close to each other and we didn't even know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Well, hopefully I'll see you soon.
Very well. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for letting me come on the show, man. You're the real deal as well. As I said, I've been seeing you do your thing, man, and I have the utmost respect for you because, as you had mentioned earlier in the show, 10%, excuse me, only 90% don't make it past 10 episodes, and you've been doing this for 189, you said,
You'll
so
be 193. Yeah.
183, excuse me.
193. 193.
193, excuse me.
Yeah,
But nonetheless, man, you keep going, and whether or not you take it to the next level or stop, I'm sure everyone is grateful for what you've been doing thus far.
buddy. Thanks so much. I'll see you
Of
soon.
course. Yes, you take care. Have a
Kevin,
good night.
Middleman Podcast. We'll see you.
Goodbye.